I don't care who you claim to be, people like you don't belong in establishments like this. Those words were screaming across a luxury boutique at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. But here's what nobody in that store knew. The woman being humiliated, the woman being grabbed by security, the woman they were about to call the police on? Sofia Santiago stood there, calm as ice, as a security guard named Derek Collins roughly grabbed her arm. Her voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "Remove your hands, now." But Bianca Whitfield, the store manager, wasn't backing down. "Call the police, she's probably here to steal something expensive," she shouted, pointing at Sofia like she was some kind of criminal. The irony? Sofia had just tried to spend $15,000 in her own store. The crowd of wealthy customers watched in horror and fascination. Some were filming. Others were whispering. A young Latina employee named Gabriela Javier tried desperately to intervene. "Ma'am, please, there's been a mistake." "Shut up, Maria, or you're fired too," Bianca snapped, not even caring enough to get the woman's name right. That's when Sofia pulled out her phone and started recording. Her hands weren't shaking, her voice wasn't breaking, but her eyes were calculating something that would change everything in exactly 7 minutes. 7 minutes, she said, staring directly at Bianca. "That's all I need." Now, before I tell you what happened in those 7 minutes that brought a multi-million-dollar company to its knees, I need you to hit that subscribe button and tell us where you're watching from, because what you're about to hear will make you question everything you think you know about power, justice, and revenge. What happened next didn't just change this store. It didn't just destroy careers. It changed an entire company forever. And it all started with those 7 minutes that Bianca Whitfield would regret for the rest of her life. But to understand the earthquake that was about to hit, you need to know who Sofia Santiago really was. To understand the storm that was about to hit that boutique, you need to know who Sofia Santiago really was. And trust me, her story will blow your mind. From absolutely nothing, Sofia built Santiago Luxury Group into a $500 million empire. $500 million. She didn't inherit it, she didn't marry into it. She earned every single dollar through pure determination and brilliant business strategy. By 32, she owned 47 high-end retail locations across 12 states. But this particular store? This wasn't just another location. This was her flagship, her crown jewel, opened just 2 years ago with her own hands and her own vision. The name Esperanza Boutique wasn't some fancy marketing decision. Esperanza was her foster mother's name, the only woman who ever made Sofia feel like she belonged somewhere. When Esperanza died, Sofia promised to build something beautiful in her memory. Something that would make luxury accessible to everyone, not just the privileged few. Sofia's business philosophy was revolutionary. Luxury should elevate everyone, not exclude anyone. She believed that walking into a high-end store should make you feel like royalty, regardless of your skin color, your accent, or your background. It was personal for her, because she remembered what it felt like to be looked down on. But something was wrong with her flagship store. Something that was eating at Sofia's soul. For 6 months, she'd been watching the sales numbers drop, not gradually declining, but mysteriously plummeting. Customer complaints were flooding in about an unwelcoming atmosphere. The diverse clientele that Sofia had worked so hard to attract was disappearing, one family at a time. 8 months ago, Sofia had hired Bianca Whitfield as store manager. Her references were stellar. Her resume was impressive. Her interview was flawless. But something was happening under Bianca's management that made Sofia's blood run cold. So Sofia made a decision that would expose everything. She was going to visit her own store, disguised as a regular customer. She wanted to see exactly what her customers were experiencing. Meanwhile, a young employee named Gabriela Javier had been documenting troubling patterns since her recent hiring. She was keeping notes, saving conversations, building a case that she didn't yet realize would become crucial evidence. Sofia walked into her own store wearing jeans and a casual sweater, looking like any other customer on a Tuesday afternoon. But within seconds, she felt something that made her stomach turn. Hostility. A 22-year-old sales associate named Brittany Cooper immediately started following Sofia around the store like she was a potential shoplifter. The passive-aggressive comments started immediately. "Everything here is quite expensive. You don't look like you can afford this." Sophia picked up a $3,000 handbag, examining it with the eye of someone who knew luxury goods inside and out. Brittany's response? "Ma'am, that's very delicate. Maybe something from our clearance section?" The condescension was dripping from every word. Every item Sophia asked about was met with dismissive responses. Every question was answered with barely concealed irritation. From across the store, Bianca was watching, whispering to other staff members like she was coordinating some kind of strategy. Sophia's trained ear caught fragments of those whispers. "Typical. Probably can't afford." The words hit her like physical blows, but she stayed calm. She was gathering evidence now, and evidence required patience. Then Sophia did something that would expose everything. She selected several high-end items totaling $15,000. $15,000. She approached the counter ready to make a purchase that would have been any sales associate's dream commission. That's when Bianca swooped in. "I'll handle this one, Brittany," she said, like Sophia was some kind of special problem that required management intervention. Bianca examined Sophia's Platinum American Express card like it was radioactive. "This card looks suspicious. How did you get this?" The question wasn't just rude, it was calculated humiliation. Sophia's response was perfectly calm. "I earned it." What happened next was deliberate psychological torture. Bianca called the bank to verify the card, speaking loud enough for the entire store to hear. Other customers started staring and whispering. Sophia was being treated like a criminal in her own store, and she was counting every second of it. The bank confirmed what Sophia already knew. The card was legitimate, and the account had substantial funds. Any reasonable person would have apologized and completed the transaction. But Bianca wasn't reasonable. She was determined to humiliate Sophia, no matter what the evidence showed. "Well, these cards can be stolen. I'm going to need an additional ID." The goalposts kept moving, and Sophia's patience was wearing thin. Sophia handed over her driver's license. Bianca studied it like she was examining evidence at a crime scene. "This doesn't look like you. I think this is fake." That's when Sophia's voice sharpened just slightly. "Ma'am, I'd like to speak to your manager." Bianca's response revealed everything. "I am the manager, and I'm asking you to leave before I call security." Gabriella tried to intervene, sensing the situation spiraling out of control. "Bianca, maybe we should." "Did I ask for your opinion, Maria?" Bianca snapped, not even caring enough to get Gabriella's name right. "My name is Gabriella," she said quietly. "Whatever. Mind your own business." The mask was completely off now. When Sophia requested corporate contact information, Bianca actually laughed. "Corporate doesn't care about complaints from people like you." "People like me?" Sophia asked, giving Bianca one last chance to walk back from the cliff. "You know exactly what I mean. This is a respectable establishment." That's when Derek the security guard appeared, even though nobody had called him. "Derek, escort this woman out, she's being disruptive." Sophia hadn't raised her voice once. She hadn't made a scene. She hadn't done anything except try to spend $15,000. But somehow, she was the problem. "I'm making a legitimate purchase." "This is discrimination," Sophia said, her voice still controlled but with steel underneath. Bianca's final response revealed the ugly truth that Sophia had suspected all along. "Play the race card all you want. It won't work here." The race card, as if experiencing racism was just some kind of manipulation tactic. As if Sophia's humiliation was just a game she was playing. That's when Sophia knew that everything she'd built, everything she'd worked for, was being destroyed by the very person she'd trusted to protect it. And she was about to make sure that Bianca Whitfield learned exactly who she was dealing with. The explosion was about to begin. What happened next was the moment everything exploded into chaos. Derek grabbed Sophia's arm forcefully, like she was some kind of dangerous criminal. But Sophia's response was ice-cold precision. "Do not touch me. I am not leaving until I complete my purchase." Bianca turned to the crowd of wealthy customers like she was some kind of victim. "Sorry everyone, we have a situation here." "A situation?" Sophia was trying to spend $15,000 and somehow she was the situation? That's when Margaret Sterling, a woman in her 60s, dripping with diamonds and entitlement, decided to add her commentary. Some people have no shame. The irony was suffocating. Sophia was being assaulted for shopping while black, and she was the one with no shame? Another customer started recording on their phone, capturing every moment of this public humiliation. But when Bianca noticed the recording, she panicked. "Ma'am, please don't film. This person might become violent." For the first time, Sophia's voice rose. Violent? For trying to buy a purse? Derek tightened his grip like Sophia was about to attack someone with a handbag. "Come on, let's go." That's when Sophia pulled out her own phone and started recording. The tables were turning, and Bianca knew it. "You can't record in here. That's against store policy," Bianca shouted, grasping for any excuse to maintain control. Sophia's response was perfect. "Show me that policy in writing." Then came the moment that would change everything. Sophia looked directly at Bianca with the calm of someone who held all the cards. "I'm going to give you 7 minutes." 7 minutes for what? Bianca asked, confusion replacing her earlier confidence. "To apologize and complete my transaction professionally." Bianca actually laughed. She laughed. "Or what? You'll call corporate? Good luck with that." Sophia's eyes narrowed. "Or I'll show you exactly who you're dealing with." Derek, still playing the tough guy, asked, "Is that a threat?" "It's a promise," Sophia replied. Bianca, now completely unhinged, turned to Derek. "Call the police. Tell them we have an aggressive customer." Sophia started the timer on her phone. 7 minutes starts now. In the background, Gabriella was frantically texting someone. She knew something was about to happen, and she was making sure the right people were informed. But if you think that was intense, hit that subscribe button right now, because what happens in the next 7 minutes will leave you speechless. Before we continue, I want to know, what would you have done in Sophia's position? Would you have stayed calm, or would you have lost it completely? Let me know in the comments. While the timer counted down, Sophia did something that left everyone confused and terrified. She calmly continued shopping, like nothing had happened. But then the phone calls started. Sophia began speaking in rapid Spanish, deliberately ensuring that Bianca couldn't understand what she was saying. The first call. "Miguel, execute Plan B at Location 7. "Plan B? Location 7? Bianca's face showed the first crack of uncertainty. Second call. "Sarah, I need the employment files for Bianca Whitfield." "Employment files? How did this random customer know Bianca's last name?" Third call. "David, how quickly can legal get here?" "Legal?" Bianca was getting increasingly agitated. Who is she calling? Derek, still trying to play the enforcer, asked, "Should I take her phone?" Sophia's response was razor sharp. "Touch my property and I'll have you arrested for theft." The calls continued, each one more mysterious and terrifying than the last. Pull all security footage from the past 6 months. Check credit card processing. Look for declined transactions by demographic. Bianca turned to Brittany with panic in her voice. "Why isn't she leaving? What's wrong with her?" That's when Gabriella quietly approached Sophia. "Ma'am, I've been documenting everything." Sophia nodded knowingly and continued her countdown. 4 minutes remaining. Then something happened that made Bianca's blood run cold. A well-dressed Asian man in an expensive suit walked into the store with the confidence of someone who belonged there. "Miss Santiago, I came as soon as I got your message," he said. "Santiago?" Bianca's brain started connecting dots she didn't want to connect. "Santiago? Wait." The man spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Are you all right? Did they physically assault you?" "Attempted to. Yes, all recorded." Sophia replied calmly. Bianca's face went pale as realization began to dawn. "Santiago, you're not." Sophia checked her timer. 2 minutes remaining, Bianca. Then the bombshell dropped like a nuclear explosion. A black woman in her 40s walked in with a security team, moving with the authority of someone who owned the place. "Sophia, we got here as fast as we could," she said. Bianca's world started crumbling. "Sophia? Wait, Sophia Santiago? The Sophia Santiago?" Sophia checked her timer one last time. 30 seconds. The realization hit Bianca like a freight train. "Oh my God, you're the owner." "CEO and founder, actually," Sophia corrected. Bianca started hyperventilating. I didn't know. I'm so sorry." Sophia's timer went off. "Time's up." What happened next was the most satisfying moment of justice you've ever seen. Sophia addressed the gathered crowd with the authority she'd always possessed. "I am Sophia Santiago, CEO of Santiago Luxury Group. This store and 46 others belong to me. What you witnessed is exactly why our sales have declined here." Bianca collapsed into a chair like her legs had given out. "Please. I have kids. I need this job." Sophia's response was ice cold. "You should have thought about that before humiliating customers." Derek, finally realizing the magnitude of his mistake, tried to backtrack. "Ma'am, I was just doing my job." "Your job is to protect customers, not assault them," Sophia replied. Sarah, Sophia's regional manager, presented files that revealed the scope of the problem. "We've been monitoring this location for months. 37 documented complaints of discrimination, suspicious patterns in customer service reviews." Sophia turned to the crowd. "How many of you have witnessed similar incidents here?" Several hands raised reluctantly. Even Margaret Sterling, who had called Sophia shameless minutes earlier, admitted, I may have seen some things." "Gabriella, please escort these witnesses to a private area," Sophia instructed. The investigation was beginning, and Bianca Whitfield's world was about to completely collapse. But what they discovered next would expose a conspiracy so much bigger than anyone imagined. What Sophia discovered next wasn't just individual racism. It was a systematic conspiracy that went deeper than anyone could have imagined. The security footage review revealed something that made Sophia's blood boil. This wasn't random prejudice or unconscious bias. Bianca had been deliberately training her staff to profile customers based on their appearance. She had created an entire system designed to make people of color feel unwelcome in Sophia's store. The footage showed Bianca conducting what she called customer awareness training. But what it really was? Instructions on how to implement shopping while black deterrent strategies. She had turned Sophia's dream of inclusive luxury into a nightmare of systematic exclusion. Gabriella's documentation revealed the full scope of the conspiracy. It wasn't just black customers being targeted. Latino customers, Asian customers, anyone who didn't fit Bianca's narrow definition of appropriate clientele was being systematically harassed and discouraged from shopping. But here's what made it even worse. Bianca's hiring practices. Every single customer-facing employee was white. Every single one. This wasn't a coincidence. This was deliberate demographic engineering designed to create an atmosphere of exclusion. When the pressure mounted, Brittany finally broke down and told the truth. She told us to watch certain types of people. She said they were more likely to steal or cause problems. She said it was for the store's protection. Derek, realizing his career was over, admitted his part in the conspiracy. She said it was company policy. She said corporate wanted us to maintain a certain atmosphere. Company policy. They were using Sophia's own company name to justify their racism. But the financial impact was what really showed the devastating scope of Bianca's actions. Sophia revealed numbers that shocked everyone in that store. 6 months ago, we were the top-performing location in the entire Santiago Luxury Group network. We were bringing in record revenue, setting sales goals that other locations aspired to reach. Then came the bombshell. Since Bianca's hiring, we've lost 60% of our diverse clientele. 60%. Revenue is down $2.3 million. $2.3 million. Bianca's racism wasn't just morally bankrupt, it was financially catastrophic. Those efficiency improvements that Bianca had been bragging about to corporate, they were actually discrimination tactics designed to drive away customers who didn't look like her ideal demographic. She had systematically destroyed the inclusive culture that Sophia had spent years building. But the implications went even further. The insurance liability alone for civil rights violations could have bankrupted the entire company. Every discriminatory incident was a potential federal lawsuit waiting to happen. Sophia looked directly at Bianca, who was now sobbing in her chair. "You didn't just lose my business, you lost everyone's. You took my mother's memory, my life's work, and you turned it into everything I swore it would never become." The corporate response was swift and devastating. Sophia immediately called an emergency board meeting via video conference, right there in the store. The legal team confirmed what everyone feared: multiple federal violations, potential class action lawsuits, and civil rights investigations that could destroy the company's reputation forever. The PR crisis management team was already mobilizing, preparing damage control for a scandal that could make national headlines. Sophia's voice was steel when she addressed the board. "This ends today, and it ends permanently. I don't care what it costs. I don't care how many people we have to fire. This poison stops here." Immediate policy changes were implemented across all 47 locations. New hiring practices, mandatory sensitivity training, customer service protocols that protected everyone's dignity regardless of their appearance or background. But the most shocking revelation was still coming. A background check on Bianca revealed that this wasn't her first time. Her previous employer had similar issues with discrimination complaints, but somehow her references had been stellar. Someone had covered up her history, and now Sophia was determined to find out who. Derek's employment was terminated immediately, not just for the assault, but for participating in a conspiracy that violated every principle Sophia's company stood for. As the full scope of the conspiracy became clear, one thing was certain. This wasn't just about one racist store manager. This was about a culture of discrimination that had been allowed to fester in the shadows, and Sofia Santiago was about to burn it all down. The resolution was going to be swift, decisive, and absolutely devastating for everyone who had participated in turning her dream into a nightmare. What happened next was the most satisfying display of justice you've ever seen. Bianca was terminated immediately. Not in a week. Not after a review process. Immediately, security escorted her out of the store while police officers waited to question her about federal civil rights violations. The woman who had spent months destroying lives with her racism was now facing the consequences of her actions. Derek was arrested on the spot for assault charges. The security guard, who thought he was just doing his job, learned that assault is never part of anyone's job description. His career in security was over forever. Brittany was given a choice that would define the rest of her career: comprehensive diversity training with a probationary period, or immediate termination. She chose the training, finally understanding that her actions had real consequences for real people. But the most beautiful moment? Sophia promoted Gabriella to interim manager on the spot. The young woman who had been documenting the discrimination, who had tried to intervene when others stayed silent, was now in charge of rebuilding the store's culture. Sophia addressed the remaining customers with grace that few people could have managed. "Your shopping experience today is complimentary. What you witnessed is not who we are, and it's not who we'll ever be again." But Sophia wasn't done. The broader impact was just beginning. She announced a company-wide diversity audit across all 47 locations. Every store, every manager, every policy would be examined to ensure that what happened here could never happen again anywhere in her empire. Sophia established a $1 million fund for discrimination victims. $1 million. Not just for her own customers, but for anyone who had experienced similar treatment at retail establishments. She was turning her pain into a platform for change. The company partnered with local civil rights organizations, turning Santiago Luxury Group into a model for how businesses should respond when they discover systemic discrimination in their ranks. Gabriella's promotion made her the youngest manager in company history. A woman whose name Bianca couldn't even be bothered to remember correctly was now running the flagship location of a $500 million company. Sophia's final message that day embodied everything she had built her company on. Luxury means everyone deserves to be treated with dignity. If you can't understand that, you don't belong in this business. Before I tell you what happened 6 months later, I need you to hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell, because stories like this need to be shared. And here's my question for you. Have you ever witnessed discrimination in retail? Maybe you were the victim, maybe you were a bystander. Share your story in the comments, because your voice matters in holding businesses accountable. 6 months later, that same store became the highest performing location in the Santiago Luxury Group network again. The inclusive culture that Sophia had always envisioned was finally flourishing under Gabriella's leadership. Bianca? She was facing federal civil rights charges that could result in serious prison time. Her career in retail was over, and her actions had become a cautionary tale taught in business schools across the country. Sophia's company became a case study in corporate responsibility, showing other businesses how to respond when discrimination is discovered in their ranks. The Santiago response became the gold standard for turning crisis into positive change. Gabriela was promoted again, this time to regional manager, overseeing 5 locations. The woman who started as a low-level employee documenting discrimination was now one of the most powerful executives in the company. The final image that will stay with you forever. Sophia shopping in her own store, being treated like any valued customer. Not because she was the CEO, but because that's how everyone should be treated when they walk through those doors. Sophia's final words sum up everything. Sometimes change happens one confrontation at a time. Today, we change not just this store, but hopefully the entire industry. Have you ever witnessed discrimination in retail? Share your story in the comments below. Let's hold businesses accountable together, because change starts with people like you and me, refusing to stay silent when we see injustice. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it, because Sofia Santiago's 7 minutes of courage changed everything. And your voice could be the next one that makes a difference.